There's no question that minivans offer the best combination of passenger and cargo space in the smallest possible package. But which minivan is the best in the segment? Although the Chrysler Pacifica has been out for over a year now, people are still shocked by how big a leap it made from the town and country it replaced, becoming a luxurious option brimming with technology. However, new minivans don't come along every day, so we had to wait for a worthy competitor before we threw it into a comparison. Well, that competitor has arrived, as Honda has just launched the redesigned Odyssey, and it introduces a whole new infotainment system to go along with their usual refined, efficient drive and practical interior. Although a plug-in hybrid Pacifica is available, we stuck with just the conventional gas engine for this comparison to keep the powertrains and price on even footing. Minivans are truly the kings of comfort, and the Pacifica here has got tons of space in the second row, even for a full-grown adult. The seats themselves are really comfortable with some armrests, but the coolest feature of the Pacifica has got to be the dual monitors, which are touchscreen operated and can play different games or a movie for one kid while the other is playing some of the built-in apps that are available. Of course, the essence of any minivan has got to be its practicality, and the Pacifica has got tons of cargo space. Behind the third row in the trunk, you've already got over 30 cubic feet of cargo space, and the third row folds at the touch of a button. Once the third row is folded, you get 87 cubic feet of cargo space. But that's not all. You can even fold the second row down into the floor and open up tons of space without having to remove the seats. Once those second row seats are stowed, you've got 140 cubic feet of cargo space, and you can even fit in a 4x8 sheet of plywood or drywall if you want to do some home renovations. One of the most impressive upgrades in the Pacifica is interior quality, with soft touch plastics, soft leather, and real stitching on the steering wheel and dash, giving it a legitimately luxurious feel. The seats are comfortable in the first two rows, with heated and cooled seats in front. The third row is a bit cramped for adults, of course, but still decent for anyone that's not huge. However, the Pacifica has overlooked one small issue with its latch anchors in the second row, a plastic surround that obstructs the seat latch from locking to the anchor. I found it to be a frustrating nuisance when I was installing a car seat. Even though these two vans make about the same amount of power, the Pacifica feels more powerful and more responsive, mainly thanks to the fact that it weighs over 250 pounds less than the Odyssey. The Pacifica's 3.6-liter V6 makes 287 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque, and throttle is sharp enough that you will chirp the tires in the rain if you're not careful. On the one hand, it has a bit of a nice growl when you're getting up to speed, but some might find it a bit coarse, especially compared to the silky smooth Honda. With drastic weight savings getting the Pacifica down to 4,330 pounds and a 9-speed automatic transmission, the Pacifica earns very respectable fuel economy ratings of 19 miles per gallon in the city, 28 on the highway, and 22 combined. It should prove far more efficient than any SUV that can compete with it for interior space. That 9-speed was smooth enough and didn't display any of the issues that cropped up in various Jeeps when it first launched, but it's still an area of concern for any FCA products. The Pacifica doesn't just feel more powerful, it also is easier to drive, mainly because it feels a bit smaller, making it easier to get in and out of parking lots and generally just navigate around town. The Pacifica is also very comfortable, and it's got a bit of a soft ride, which means it does get a bit tippy in the corners if you take them at speed. Out on the highway, the Pacifica is smooth and quiet, and the adaptive cruise control follows along in traffic at any speed, right down to a full stop, whereas Honda's system cuts out below 20 miles per hour, so it won't crawl along in traffic to ease your hectic commute. Adaptive cruise isn't the only driving tech in the Pacifica, and rear park assist with stop, blind spot monitoring, and rear cross path detection are standard, while 360-degree surround view camera, perpendicular park assist, and forward collision warning plus are available on higher trims along with that adaptive cruise. A quick check of IIHS shows that both these minivans score top Safety Pick Plus ratings with good scores across the board, except for the Pacifica's child seat installation score. Another feature that makes the commute easier is the Pacifica's Uconnect infotainment system. With quick screen response, an easily configured home screen, and shortcuts for quick access to favorite functions, it requires barely a thought when switching between music sources, making a quick call, or adjusting the temperature. Android Auto Apple CarPlay were not included with early 2017 models, but will be standard in 2018 models, and 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot capability is featured in most trims, while hotspot is reserved for only the top model in the Odyssey. And because the Pacifica has those seat-mounted touchscreens, you still get a massive panoramic sunroof for stargazing, if kids can tear their eyes away from the screens for even 1 second. The Odyssey might just have the one screen, but it's still pretty cool because you can watch some streaming videos in addition to DVDs that you might have on board. The second row seats are also really comfortable and probably more comfortable than the ones in the Pacifica because they don't have to be engineered to fold into the floor. However, because they don't fold into the floor, if you want maximum cargo space, you actually have to pull them completely out of the car. And they're really heavy, so that's a pretty difficult job. Back in the trunk, it's got the same 30 cubic feet of space behind the third row, so it's great in terms of loading up the trunk after a shopping trip. And even though it doesn't have the power folding third row, these seats are just as easy to fold. You just have to grab the strap and they tumble right down. And it's probably even quicker than the Pacifica, and you still get 87 cubic feet of cargo space, so there's no problem loading almost anything that you can imagine. The new Odyssey also features good quality materials, but the leather is not as nice and the dash stitching is fake, so it is very sensible, but not as luxurious as the Pacifica. Headroom and legroom are good for adults in all 3 rows, and like the Chrysler, the 4 main seats are comfortable. Although the Honda's second row doesn't fold into the floor or flip and tilt like the Pacifica's, it can slide from side to side with the middle section removed, making it easier to get into the third row between the seats without waking your sleeping kids in their child seats. The Odyssey makes plenty of power, so it gets going just fine. The Odyssey weighs a hefty 4,600 pounds, but the 3.5-liter V6 makes 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. So while it might not be as fast as the Pacifica, it is quick enough to get out of its own way, and the 10-speed automatic finds lower gears quickly to make passing maneuvers without concern. However, the button shifter does take some getting used to, especially when trying to make a 3-point turn and resetting your brain to look for a tucked-away button for reverse instead of slotting a gear lever forward and back. That being said, the Pacifica's rotary dial shifter requires a similar adjustment period, and the jury is still out as to which is less annoying to get used to. When it comes to efficiency, the Odyssey is rated at the exact same 19 miles per gallon in the city, 28 on the highway, and 22 combined. But Honda comes closer to achieving that in the real world, showing 21 miles per gallon on its trip computer compared to 20 for the Pacifica from my time in it. The Odyssey, like any minivan, may not be great to drive, but it is super comfortable, so it's really easy to just get on the highway, put on the adaptive cruise, and let it eat up the miles. Although the Odyssey is actually narrower than the Pacifica, it feels extra wide because of all that weight and the sightlines. So while it does seem more stable driving along on the highway, it also feels ungainly, like a big fat barge slowly wallowing through corners. Thankfully, Honda has given us back our volume knob, but even more importantly, the touchscreen is quicker and more responsive, and the layout is way better, so it's really easy to navigate the system. I particularly liked how easy it was to add and remove items from the home screen. Although we've long been fans of Uconnect, Honda might have actually finally turned the corner and delivered a modern, competitive infotainment system that does not suck and make grown men throw tantrums of rage because of its annoying delays and dumbass menu setup. Scrolling through the list of features that both cars offer is both exhausting and frustrating, since most of them are the same, right down to the fact that both have built-in vacuums. If I had to pick which vacuum is better, I would pick the Pacifica since it's mounted in the middle and easier to reach all areas of the van, unlike the Honda's, which is mounted all the way in the back and the trunk. However, Honda Eye of God and Honda Voice of God are cool features that allow you to watch the kids from a roof-mounted camera and override their entertainment audio and speak into their headphones like some omnipotent, all-seeing parent. Honda also has slightly better cabin storage, but you won't be hurting for cup holders, bottle holders, and little cubbies for your junk in either of these family rides. The new Odyssey is truly a great minivan, made even better with the latest round of updates that Honda executed. It's practical through and through, they've maintained their leadership in efficiency, and it's plenty powerful that you won't feel like you lag behind traffic, all while feeling refined to drive. With plenty of space for passengers and cargo, and little practical touches that make it easy to live with, it's comfortable inside and on the road. But the greatest improvement is an infotainment system that will fit seamlessly into your driving habits without causing irritation. Unfortunately, while it is practical, the seating options aren't as flexible for maximum cargo capacity, and it sometimes feels like a whale to drive. Two things that, I admit, many people might not care about. The Pacifica beats the Odyssey on those last 2 points in particular, feeling peppy and eager to drive, even in corners, although the engine and ride might not be as refined. However, the Pacifica's interior also felt and looked more luxurious, and it's plenty comfortable enough. Those dual screens also represent a huge appeal for kids, and the second row seats that not only stow and go, but also flip out of the way for third row access, make the best use of all that space that minivans promise. Aside from Chrysler's reputation for questionable reliability, my other main complaint is that the Pacifica can get really pricey, hitting over $50,000 fully loaded. So it's hard to accept paying that much for any minivan, even one as luxurious and well-equipped as this. After spending the better part of 2 weeks with these two minivans, the Chrysler Pacifica is the one my family wanted to keep. The kids loved the dual screens, I like the way the Pacifica drives better, and it's still got all the practicality of the Odyssey with a few extra conveniences that makes life easier for families.